Hello, good evening once again. So we can go ahead and start. This is a new cohort, so I'll go ahead and introduce myself, maybe for those who aren't there for the orientation session. My name is Hope Helen Duta. I usually host this particular session. You'll either have me or my colleague Lorraine on the call. So karibuni to job matching and mentorship, job hunting, sorry, and mentorship session by Cybersecurity. The aim of this session is for you, Cybersecurity participants, and anyone else who may be joining externally to get a feel of the industry from the professionals we invite into this session. Our hope is also that you get a mentor along the way who will guide you in your career. So I hope you make the best out of this session and interact as much as you can. And at the end of it, I also hope you know exactly what you want to do cybersecurity wise or data and AI wise. And yeah, hopefully you can get a feel of what the industry has in place or requires from those joining it from this particular session. So I'll go ahead and jump into the topic today, which is navigating your cybersecurity career. And with us today is Mr. Bewes Mungai, who will be taking us through this particular topic. He is a seasoned cybersecurity specialist with more than 15 years experience in cybersecurity. He's worked in both public and private sectors. He's currently working for KCAA as the principal officer IT security. So he truly has a lot of knowledge when it comes to planning your career, navigating the cybersecurity career, up and coming roles that the industry is looking for, and how to place yourself to be relevant and also to add value in whatever sector you decide to go into. So thank you so much, Buse, for honoring the invite again. Really appreciate having you on the call, and karibu sana to another Cyber Shujaa mentorship session.
Thank you very much, Hope. I believe that you can all hear me. Just give me an affirmation if you can.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you. That's Lian, Gugi, and Hope. So first and foremost, I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I feel very humbled this evening to be able to join all of you and to navigate together on building or developing your cybersecurity career, which is basically a journey. It is a never-ending journey. And the more you get deeper into cybersecurity, you realize the more you do not know, because every day there's something new that is coming up. When I joined the field of cybersecurity around 2009, thereabout, I realized that the kind of tools, methodologies, outcomes, and goals kept on changing over the period. So it's a very dynamic field, and I would like us to be able to understand that dynamism, and at the end of this session, be able then to have a proper roadmap on how we can be able to build or develop our cybersecurity careers that is beneficial not only to us, but also to the people we serve. So at the onset, before even I get to my presentation, I want to say that cybersecurity is a service for those of you who are writing down. So just like any other service that is provided, you walk into a bank, you get banking services. If you want to make phone calls, you go to a telecommunications operator. So cybersecurity is a professional service. And it is very much tied to the kind of security service, physical security service that we see. And it is a huge service because it is basically meant to safeguard information assets. And information assets basically are people, processes, technologies. And the outcome of this safeguarding is that then the business organization or whoever you're providing that service to is able to deliver an uninterrupted service provision and make money on the side. So I want us at the very onset to think of cybersecurity as a service. Just like any service, it has to be provided to the right people. So you've got to be in the relevant area or relevant community to be able to provide that service. So without further ado, I will get straight into my presentation. Allow me to share my screen. And can I just get a high five for those who can view my screen? Thank you. Thank you. I've seen, yes, thank you very much. So I will proceed. So let me start with an introduction and a background about myself. My name was mentioned, and I have over 15 years experience in cybersecurity. My experience basically traverses both information technology and operation technology. The difference being that information technology is data-centric, operational technologies are device-centric. A good example of operational technologies are SCADA systems, like the ones used by Kenya Pipeline, air navigation systems, like the ones we use at Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. So those are good examples of operational technologies, which obviously have a different security objective. I've worked in both the public and private sectors. I have obviously a good academic background, as you can see there, with a couple of certifications there. And I'm not just stopping there, I'm still continuing. I must also mention that I am a member of the Information Systems Audit Control Association, Kenya chapter. I'm a member of the Kenya National Cybersecurity Committee, which is anchored at the Communications Authority, where we look at the national cybersecurity landscape. I'm also a member of the Kenya Cybersecurity and Forensics Association. Over the years, I've been able to gather quite a number of skills. Obviously, skills around risk management, data privacy, governance and policy, threat intelligence, security operations, frameworks, application security training, and many others. So I started off obviously on the network side and systems administration side, and pivoted then to cybersecurity because this gave me a very good foundation to be able then to secure large enterprise-wide area networks, local area networks, internet networks, and a lot of that. I'm also a cybersecurity consultant. I consult for SMEs and small businesses, advising them on how to develop strategies to protect the information assets, which I had aforementioned described. I'm also very passionate about youth mentorship, so you'll see me in a lot of these forums and also others. I'm married with 2 children. And for those who like music, I think that is my cup of tea. I absolutely love music, passionate about it. I play the piano, I sing, and many other things. So around music side, that's what I do as a hobby. So let's get straight into the meat. So cybersecurity, when you're navigating the cybersecurity career, you have a number of phases. And in my phase 1, I call it the decision phase. Now, at the decision phase is where you're basically making that resolve that I want to get into cybersecurity. And this is very, very important because everything in life begins with a decision. If you want to travel from one point to another, you have to first decide by deciding that this is where I want to move to. So cybersecurity is no exception. You've got to look at, as you're making a decision, you've got to look at why do I want to get into cybersecurity? Do you want to get to cybersecurity because it has a lot of money? Or do you want to get into cybersecurity because you want to learn and progress? Or do you want to get into cybersecurity because you want to network and associate? So there has to be a why as to why you want to get into this field. Then what is it that you want to do? As I said, cybersecurity is a service. So what do you want to, which particular service do you want to provide? When do you want to provide this service? And obviously, are you passionate about it? Why? Because passion is a substance for progress. Okay. If you do not have passion, you will never progress. And so I am very enthusiastic about this particular field, especially when I get into challenges, because that is what makes me grow. Now, once you've made that decision, you've got to move then to what you call information gathering within the decision phase. So this is where you're basically trying to gather information. And attending this Cybersecurity workshop is one of the information gathering techniques that we have. So you've got to look at what is cybersecurity, what are the fundamentals of cybersecurity, what is it about, who does it affect, what services or sub-services are in it, what is the value and what are the benefits. So just like a businessman would actually, who wants to get into a business would look at all those facets, you also need to look that. You also need to look at that. Then you move on. Once you've gathered that information, you've got to analyze and consult and see, for example, if I get into cybersecurity, if I'm to get into cybersecurity, governance, risk, and compliance, vis-a-vis cybersecurity, penetration testing, how do these two compare? So there has to be some analysis. So you've got to look at that information, analyze it, ingest it, and see what actually works best for you. And obviously, this is based on your interest. So I always advocate that you get into your area of interest. Some of you are very passionate about offensive security. Some are passionate about defensive security. Others are passionate about governance, risk, and compliance. Others are passionate about cyber advocacy. So all those are areas of specialization based on your interest, because you cannot be good at everything. So you have to look at which area do you have most interest in. And obviously, as you're looking at that particular interest, it is all about impact. What kind of impact do you hope to achieve? And impact must always be aligned with problem solving. So you have to look at what problem am I going to solve within this cybersecurity field, and what impact will it have on the people who actually need or require that service. Obviously, looking at that area of impact, you must then take cognizance of what are the global trends and the opportunities that are there. Then from what stage you move then to phase 2, which is taking action. And I always say, take action from the simplest to the hardest. So in this particular case, taking action involves a couple of things. Number one, it involves association, okay? If you want to be a pilot, associate yourself with pilots. You cannot desire to be a pilot and you're associating yourself with with bankers. That will never happen. So you have to associate, you have to put yourself in the right social networks. And the good thing about the internet is there are so many groups and associations on cybersecurity, social networks, LinkedIn groups. ISACA is one of them. Cybersecurity, what we're having, is another. So you must associate yourself with cybersecurity groups, and not just one or two, several, as many as you can. Be in the right place. You see, somebody who wants to be a chef has to go to the kitchen and associate with people who are chefs. If you're not spending your time with people who are within that field, then there's no way you're going to grow, because these are the people who are going to add knowledge to you. And then obviously coupled with that is learning. But the kind of learning that I advocate for is a target-based learning, whereby you're not just taking courses for the purpose of taking courses. You're looking at courses in terms of what skill are you going to gain, and how is that skill going to help you to achieve your target in your area of specialization. Okay, so there are some good courses that I have mentioned there for you to note. One of the fundamental ones, and that I would like all of you to undertake, is the Google Cybersecurity Professional Certificate. I have done it, and the good thing about it is that it gives you a very good foundation to everything cyber. Okay, so you will have an introduction to the whole cybersecurity ecosystem. It will help you understand what it is all about, what are the things that you need to do, the processes, networks, and all of that. So that's a good course. In this day and age of AI, or artificial intelligence, we have other courses that have come up, like AI for Cybersecurity. There's a very good course by SOC Radar called Mastering AI in Cybersecurity. Microsoft also has a foundational course called AI Security Fundamentals. And basically, artificial intelligence has become the main driver for cybersecurity solutions, and any other tool that you're talking about always has to have this artificial intelligence aspect. And then from there, you've got to execute, because you see, you cannot have knowledge that is not applied is useless. So you must execute. And how do you execute that? You look for internships, you look for jobs, you look for contracts, you look for projects, you look for mentorship programs. And in this day and age, when people say that jobs are very scarce, you could actually do projects. And if you don't have a project, approach me. I can give you some ideas along cybersecurity projects which you can be able to do, that can be able to showcase the kind of skill that you have. So taking action as phase number 2 is very important. Now, there are 5 cardinal questions in cybersecurity that anyone who wants to work in an organization needs to answer. The first question is, what losses do we expect? So you've got to look at the risk in terms of service risk, financial risk, or reputational loss. Okay, so you can either lose the service, you can either lose money, or your reputation can be lost. I'll give a good example. I think some time back, Naivas had a data breach, and they came out to basically inform the public on the kind of data breach that they had. They acknowledged that they had a breach. They went on ahead to give the measures that they had taken, and they actually assured the public that none of your confidential information or credit card or mobile numbers actually leaked. And the reason why they did that was because of reputation. Because if rumors spread concerning this data breach and people just passed on information left, right, and center, then people would then boycott their services. And if they boycott, if people don't buy from them, they have other alternatives like QuickMart and others. And so reputational, maintaining your reputation is very, very important. If, for example, if Kenya Civil Aviation Authority get information that their staff, who is myself, Bewes Mungai, is engaging in drugs, definitely that will taint the reputation of the organization. And so they will have to let me go, because they have a reputation to maintain. So reputation is very important, and we cannot take it for granted. The other question we need to ask ourselves is, what resources do we need We need people, we need technologies. So that is how I'm prompting you in terms of how you need to think. Even when you go for an interview, these are some of the questions or things that you need to ask, or the things that you need to look at. You need to ask the organization, what losses are you concerned about? What resources do you currently have? So that you can be able to identify the gaps. Then, obviously, what are the controls that are in place to protect the assets? And the assets, I said, people, processes, technologies. What currently have they done? So you need to have an understanding. Now, in case you have a cyber incident, how do you investigate your incidents? How do you respond to incidences? I gave the example of Naivas. You need to have a communications team that sends out information and assures the public that all is well and that everything is being done to be able to restore normalcy. So there has to be a plan for investigation of incidents. And then obviously, that is to ensure resilience, that even if we had an incident or a cyber incident, we can be able to assure our customers and stakeholders that we will be able to guarantee continuity of services. So that is very, very important. For example, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority is responsible for providing air navigation services to the flying public. So if there is a failure in either our communication, navigation, or surveillance equipment, we must have a way of being able to continue providing the services that we provide to pilots, to cabin crews, and to all these other stakeholders, despite of the incident that has happened. So there has to be a very elaborate business continuity and incident. And as a cybersecurity professional, you become a very cognizant cog in that particular ecosystem to determine and to ensure that there is business continuity, even in the event that you have an incident that is either major, minor, or catastrophic. So one of the things that I have found to be deficient, especially among the young people, is being able to align the work that they do in cybersecurity with business goals. Remember that every work that you do must be assigned with business goals and objectives. That is how you demonstrate value. And those who do that are the ones who will succeed. So you can be a very good pen tester, but penetration testing without alignment to business goals or business objectives is irrelevant. You're just wasting your time. You must be able to map that the skills that you have are relevant in being able to ensure that those 5 cardinal questions are answered. So we move on, and now let's pivot on to the opportunities in cybersecurity, and there are quite a number. These opportunities are around areas of specialization. So you have the issue of governance, policy, and strategy. So you can be a cybersecurity specialist who has basically specialized in governance, policy, strategy, and risk. You can then move to the technical side where you can be a security architect, where basically your role, whether on-premise or even in the cloud, is to design secure architectures such that when the applications that actually ride on the infrastructure are secure. There is also the opportunity of being a security analyst, where you're looking at different threat feeds and analyzing them and being able then to respond to ensure that you mitigate these cyber threats that come. You can be a systems or security engineer, where you're looking at being able to come up with solutions around cybersecurity. I talked about advocacy, which is all about being able to communicate to the public, to users, about cyber, the risks that are there. You can also specialize in identity and access management, incident response. I talked about disaster recovery and business continuity, security software development, but here I will mention secure software development, because security should not come as an afterthought. It should actually be embedded within software development. For example, if you're developing an application or a web portal, you must ask yourself, how will the users or the customers access this particular portal? And can I be able to maintain confidentiality of their login credentials? So right from the users, how they interact with the different ICTs, security must be embedded within that particular application. How data is processed, how data is stored, how data is transmitted, and even up to the point of how data is actually disposed. Now, in the advent of AI, there's AI and blockchain, and you can actually take these areas as an area of specialization. So there's a lot of opportunity currently around AI, and you're going to see it, I think, in the next upcoming slides. And obviously, there's also now the area of security management, which is where I'm at right now. So basically, under security management, you're basically making decisions based on budget, based on people, based on processes, and aligned with business goals. So that's the level that I am currently, and that is what I do for KCA, to be able to ensure that they have the right resources to ensure continuity of services. So digging deep into this, there are certain roles or careers that are coming up now in the advent of AI. And you can be basically an AI security engineer or machine learning security engineer. And basically, this involves designing and implementing security for AI models. So you're defending against adversarial attacks and ensuring ethical use of AI. There's also the area of security architect. So security architects, especially on the cloud, where you're basically looking at securing cloud-based systems, ensuring that that software as a service is accessed. Sorry about that. One minute. Yeah, let's continue. Sorry about that. So, so we were talking about cloud, and cloud systems have to be secured. Amazon Web Services, AWS, is carrying a lot of applications for customers across the world. And so they need a security architect to make sure that these particular resources have been provisioned securely. So that's another area. Data science is one of the areas which I am highly advocating that especially you guys who are getting into cyber get into, because we are living now in the age of data, okay? And data analytics has become very important. Basically, data analytics is all being able to identify patterns within your data, and those patterns then give you intelligence, which you can then use that intelligence as a strategic advantage for your business. There's the issue of AI ethics, and you can actually become a consultant around that, helping organizations and businesses to ethically embed AI by coming up with AI strategies, looking at the legal and regulatory issues around artificial intelligence. Then obviously there's a management side where you're basically charged with the responsibility of making decisions on how investments should be made in as far as cybersecurity is concerned. There are also other very well-paying cybersecurity careers, like, for example, an AI security engineer, security architect, cybersecurity data analyst. These are just basically job titles that you can get into, where you can say, I am an AI security engineer, or I am a security architect focusing on the cloud. And each of these tracks or areas of specialization will have their respective knowledge areas and skill areas. So these are the opportunities that the emerging opportunities that are there. And this is where the world is actually heading, because now we are in the age of robotics, blockchain, and artificial intelligence. So cybersecurity has also evolved. And these are the areas that you need to look at in terms of skill building. So that is where I would like us basically to look at and also to focus on. Great. We also have, you can build careers around zero trust architecture, penetration testing. I think I talked about that. You can be an incident response specialist, where you basically help in designing and implementing incident response programs, so that organizations that do not have an incident response, you can basically help them to be able to build an incident response program for them. You can be a malware analyst, where basically you're looking at different malware artifacts, analyzing them, understanding them, doing reverse engineering. You can also be an application security engineer, where you're basically, which you call DevSecOps. So you're developing secure software or solutions and applications, and also cybersecurity analyst, which I had actually mentioned. So what are some of the things that you need to do? And I think I'd mentioned this. One is that you need to gather information. So this information, you can gather it from online resources, from professionals, from meetings, from workshops, from engagements. The other very important thing that people forget is joining a professional group. And I think ISACA, Information Systems Audit Control Association, has got a special fee for students. So that is one professional association that I would highly recommend that you join. You also need to go online and look for free cybersecurity workshops, conferences. Nowadays, there are so many. In fact, I can't be able even to keep up with the myriad number of webinars on cybersecurity that are there, and they're all free. It's not like during our days when you were really struggling to even get a workshop or a conference. Nowadays, there are so many. And then identify the skills required for different job categories. Each of those job categories that I mentioned in my previous slides will have specific skills that are required for them. So do your research. Decide on your area of specialization and say, I am going to work to be an AI security specialist. So basically your work will be dealing with looking at AI models, analyzing them, looking at risks, looking at vulnerabilities, and making sure that your AI models are secure, they are robust, and that they can be able to be trusted. Then obtain the minimum education. I think I talked about not only academic, but also professional. What I can tell you guys is that outside here or in the job market, your academic qualifications are just used as a sieve to basically just cut out people. But what lands you the job is your professional certifications and your skill, coupled with your skills. So that is what will actually get you the job. So certifications, having the correct certifications like the Google Cybersecurity Professional Certificate, I highly recommend that one. And you can go to Coursera.org, pay $20 a month, and within 1 month, you can have your Google Cybersecurity Professional Certificate, which shows that you have a good foundation or understanding of cybersecurity. Then search for cybersecurity firms that provide internships. There are many cybersecurity organizations that are coming up. Liaise with them, talk to them, find out, get their numbers, send them emails, correspond with them. Then obviously we also have online case scenarios. We have programs like Hack the Box, which basically provide real life case scenarios that you can use. And then progressively keep on advancing your knowledge. I have done many certifications, but I'm still continuing to do. There are some certifications which I've actually slotted to do this year, 2026. So don't stop, keep going. So these are some of the things that I talked about in summary: taking up unpaid internships, identifying security gaps, implementing solutions, working on projects with professionals. If you find there's a project that somebody is working in, be part of that. Research groups, if you find that maybe a certain professor is doing some research, volunteer, build your knowledge and your skills, and you can put that in your CV and said that I have worked on this particular project. Then progressively work towards obtaining more certifications, taking up new challenges and tough assignments, and looking out for new career opportunities that will be able to demonstrate your value. So I thought that it would be good to list some of the emerging cybersecurity trends. I've talked about artificial intelligence, and obviously artificial intelligence comes with some risks like deep fakes. Yep. Nowadays, it is actually even possible to generate even a cabinet memo with the president's signature on it, and it's a fake, So there is artificial intelligence is good, but it has also come with very many risks. There is also the issue of polymorphic malware. And basically, polymorphic malware is malware that keeps on changing. So it becomes very hard to detect. Poly means multiple or many. So it changes its form. Maybe like probably the way sometimes ransomwares behave is that they come, and once they embed themselves, they can begin with Trojan-like kind of behavior, and then they change and become something else. So polymorphic malware is something that, and now actually artificial intelligence is even being used to develop some of these malwares. Then there's obviously blockchain, which has come in place and is gaining traction within the world. There's a mass transition to cloud applications. I think I don't think there's any organization now that is not on the cloud. And then obviously we have advanced hacking equipment. If you go online, like there's a website called hack5.com, you'll find all of these hacking devices: USB Rapper Duckies, Wi-Fi Pineapples, Flipper Zero. So there's so many, there's a proliferation of hacking devices that is keeping on going on. And as a security professional, you have to keep in touch with what is the latest. Then obviously there is a sophistication of cyber attacks. That the kind of cyber attacks are becoming more and more and more complex. Obviously, there's the issue of the nation state sponsored cyber attacks. We all are cognizant of the war between Russia and Ukraine, and it all began with with cyber attacks. Drones are now being used even to conduct cyber attacks, to conduct reconnaissance, and all of these other things. Robotics now has become an area which can be used positively or for nefarious purposes as well. Then there's the issue of the Internet of Things. We now have smart fridges, we have smart TVs, and all those are potential tools that can be used to conduct cyber attacks and disrupt business processes, and obviously with an impact on reputation and financial loss. So you need to demonstrate your value. And how do you demonstrate your value? There's something very key I've written there: problem, solution, impact. So you run where there are problems. So and being able to resolve that particular problem by coming up with and being able to demonstrate the impact. Then active participation. So it is very important to be an active participant, because by participating, you're able to share knowledge and skills. And then obviously there is you can write and basically you can start your own YouTube channel or your podcast or even a webinar. You can be innovative and develop frameworks. Like for my master's degree, I developed a framework for on air navigation services, cybersecurity. So basically, these are things that you can be able to do. And obviously, I've talked about challenges where you find challenges like the United Nations usually has a lot of projects, and some of them are cyber related. You know, you can participate in that particular kind of challenge and show how, demonstrate your value by aligning your skills to be able to build your experience. I have given some sites, and I'm sure the presentation will be shared with you on some areas that can give you further information on that. Now, in cybersecurity, this is the slide that if somebody asks me what cybersecurity is, this is a slide that I show them. Because cybersecurity is all about different facets, different domains. You have your frameworks and standards, which are all about best practices, okay? Guidance, technical guidance materials. You have application security, which is all about your portals, your website, software. You have right. In your environment. Then there's a security operations, which has vulnerability management, malware analysis, incident response, and many others. Then you have career development as a domain where you're looking at being able to build your career through knowledge and education. And then obviously you have security architecture. I think it was not very clear at the top, but that's what you have. So we have around 9 security in cybersecurity. Now, as I come some of the upcoming, I thought it's important for you to share with you some of the upcoming cybersecurity events that are free. And these events, we have the Cyber Resilience and Incident Readiness for Enterprises. This is a free webinar by ISACA. It will be on the 5th of March 2026. For ladies, we have the International Women's Day. And for those who are AI enthusiasts, we have on the 9th of April, ISACA will be hosting prompt engineering and large language model use cases. And this will be virtual. So anybody is free to join and get more information. We also have other upcoming ISACA courses. If you go to isaca.org/KE, you'll be able to find all of these free webinars, which I encourage all of you to join. For those who want to take certifications like CISA, CISM, CIRISC, these are ISACA certifications. They will be having a webinar on that, I think on the 3rd to the 7th of August. And okay, for that one, you pay some amount of money. And then there's another exhibition that is coming up. It's called the AI Everything, GITEX Kenya. You can register. I think personally, I've registered for this one. It's coming up on the 20th and 21st of May. It's an expo. I think it will be at KACC. So that would be a good forum for you to be able to go engage with different artificial intelligence innovators, learn the newest trends, meet new people, and obviously this will be a good forum for you to even engage and interact. So I want to stop there so that I also give time for people to be able to ask questions and for even share information. So Hope, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was very relevant and interactive. Thank you again. So we can go ahead and open up the Q&A session. Feel free to raise your hand if you have a question or feedback. Sorry.
I'm actually excited today that we have 153 people. Wow.
Yeah.
This is impressive. I don't think we've had such a huge turnout like that.
Yeah. Any questions? Yes, Collins.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you, Collins. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. My question is in regards to career transition.
Yes.
I personally am an ICT specialist. I'm a support specialist and also a network administrator at a company I won't mention. Please allow me not to. And I'm new, or rather fairly new into my cybersecurity journey. And at some point this year, I would like to transition into a cybersecurity analyst because I have those skills to do passive and active reconnaissance. So what is the right way you'd advise for me to approach it in terms of looking for entry-level cybersecurity roles, even if they'll be remote, whereby I won't have to fully transition in from my permanent role to them as I set foot into the cybersecurity world in a way and or a position that does not get me in trouble to be, bound to be moonlighting in between roles. Thank you.
Thank you, Collins. And that's a very good question. And what I would like to say is, I want to change your mindset from looking at transitioning to a cybersecurity job to, instead of looking at transitioning to a cybersecurity job, I want to rally you to demonstrate what you can do. So even in the organization that you are, task yourself on something. Probably you could start by doing a risk assessment, okay? And once you do a cyber risk assessment, you can share your results and say, I conducted this risk assessment from this period to this period, and these are my findings. I was able to find out that either your database is vulnerable or these are particular, and this is how these particular vulnerabilities can actually affect the business financially, reputation-wise, and even from a service perspective. So instead of looking at it in terms of I am waiting to get a job that is in line with the skills that I have, demonstrate what it is that you can do. You've talked about being a cybersecurity analyst. Can you get a plethora of tools that can be able to, maybe you do an Nmap or a network scan and come up with something that you can demonstrate and show the business that this is where your risks are. And obviously, as you're doing that, then you must also be able to demonstrate that you have the solution to be able to do that. Now, when vendors are coming, potential vendors are coming to look for work at KCA, they come with solutions which they believe would add value to the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. Even if they do not get work at Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, they can be able to demonstrate that value to other organizations who will be interested in partnering with them. So my recommendation would be that you use that knowledge, package that knowledge and skill that you have and demonstrate that value progressively so that then organizations are interested in relevance and what it is that you can do to be able to meet their business objectives and goals. That's my response. I think, is your hand still up, Collins?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a follow-up question in regards to the same.
Can
I
we?
actually,
Huh?
I actually did so,
Yes.
but it was met with a lot of resistance, and it escalated into something else, especially at the administrative level,
Yes.
because the administration did not welcome it the way you would see it from a security standpoint. They saw it as a direct attack to their networks. And I would say there was a lot of litigation involved, but the thing that saved me was an email from my boss that or rather informing me to do the same or instructing me to do the same, because my first assignment that I was tasked with was to do a needs assessment of the organization. So I went ahead and scanned the network and exposed the vulnerabilities that were there. I asked them to do 1, 2, 3 things to segment their network, because it was just that way, with a firewall only, nothing else, to make sure the network is secure. And if something goes through the firewall, then there are also some 2 or 3 more levels that they can be exploited. So now my question is, how do you handle such a scenario whereby you've tried that and also, but it's been met with resistance by the administration, and now you have to look over your shoulders because of that one task that you did, that people are watching you?
Great. And this is now where professional groups or associations actually come to play. And this is where they assist you. Because when you are able then to be in a community of cybersecurity specialists, what happens is these different people can be able to share their knowledge and skills and make recommendations for that particular scenario. So when you find that maybe an organization or an institution is becoming resistant to change, and I know that happens quite a bit, or they are not willing to be able to listen to what you say because they think that we are okay, we are fine, we are just doing well. We don't want you to expose us, or they find that maybe what you're channeling or tabling is irrelevant to them. Then it's good for you to partner with other professionals within the cybersecurity field who can then help you and guide you in being able to share their experiences. Maybe some have gone through similar experiences. Also, the other thing is, never look at cybersecurity from only your organization perspective. You can also look at being able to share that kind of information with other would-be or potential organizations that may find value in what you do. You see, if you are selling bananas on the street and nobody is buying, what you do, you move around until you find the people who have a thirst for bananas. Okay, so what might not be taken within your within your current organization does not mean that somebody else will not be interested in that particular product or service or solution that you're trying to. But my advice would be network widely, join associations, join groups of people who can share with you the experiences, and maybe they can even point you to other organizations, groups, stakeholders, or people who would be interested in that particular organization or value. The other thing that you could probably do is be able to tie whatever you do to business value. Okay, and that is why I talked about business alignment. So if you, for example, went to the board of organization and said, hey guys, look, we're operating on a very risky environment. We are vulnerable to this kind of cyber attacks, which if these cyber attacks crystallized, this is where you're going to lose money. And once they're able to align whatever you're doing with business value and see where they're going either to lose money, where they're going to lose service, or where they're going to lose reputation, then they will start listening to you. You might, I'll give you a very pedestrian kind of example. If you want to get my attention, maybe you might call me, Bewes. If you do not get my attention, and then you show me, hey, look, your car has a slow puncture, then you get my attention. So it is all about being able to see the best way of being able to get attention. And you can do that through different associations and groups and people who will be able to share the experiences with you, because that demonstration of value is very, very important. Okay, Collins?
Okay, sir, that's well noted. I appreciate the insights.
Good. Can we have Mary and then Meshach? Go ahead, Mary. Mary Nyambura, you have the floor.
Yes. Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening. My question was, what's the difference between SOC analyst and security analysts? And what skills do we need to have so that we can be SOC analysts?
Okay, good question. Basically, SOC is just Security Operations Center. Okay, so these are, in my opinion, these are synonyms. Whether you say you're a security analyst or whether you say a Security Operations Center analyst, it is only that there are some organizations that don't have a Security Operations Center. Okay, now for the organizations that have a Security Operations Center, which basically is a building with computers, with systems, with infrastructure, with all of that, purely dedicated for, threat hunting, incident response, and all of that, they will have Security Operations Center analysts. But a security analyst is basically one who is tasked. They do more or less the same thing, because you're tasked with being able to go out there, do threat hunting, identify vulnerabilities, classify those vulnerabilities, look at what is the impact, the threat that is tied to those particular vulnerabilities. So they are more or less doing the same kind of work. It is really the same. So these two words are actually synonymous. And then what was the second part of your question, Mary?
More of the skills that we need to have so that you can be the security analyst.
Yeah, so I think there are quite a number of courses out there. What I would urge you to do is subscribe to Coursera.org or other organization or other online platforms like Simply Learn and also Google. And basically, you'll have, I think IBM has a course on Security Operations Center. There are so many other courses around. Off my mind, I might not know all of them, but there are several. And I think also EC Council has got a course on security analyst. So there are several. CompTIA has got the Security Plus, which is a basic certification that will give you grounding knowledge. But please, kindly start off by doing the Google Cybersecurity Professional certification. That's where I would start if I was you, before I branch on to others. I hope your question is answered, Mary.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Meshach, you have the floor.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for that very insightful session. My question is just basically a touch on when you are dealing with multiple partners, because I work in an organization where we deal with partners across Africa, especially insurers and reinsurers. How would you advise in terms of how you should handle API exposure, and also when you are like dealing with so many organizations which they have their the way they implement their security, do their security implementation, and their rules on data governance and privacy?
Okay. Great. That's a good question. So you're talking about different countries, different nationalities. I also heard you mention about API exposure. Now, I will come back to what I had said previously, that when it comes to risk, you must always tie the risk to loss of value, which is finance, loss of service, and loss of reputation. So even when you're talking about the application programming interface, tie it to the particular service and tie it to the particular loss, because that is the language that people understand. You have to put all of these things in context. You cannot leave out one particular thing. The problem, I think, and the challenge that a lot of us have in cybersecurity is that we focus so much on the technical aspect, which majority of the business do not understand. And then we are not able to align, because if, for example, you went to the CEO of the organization or to the senior management of the organization and told them you have an API vulnerability, will they even understand what is this API and what does it do? But if you're able to show that this particular API is tied to this particular service, which generates revenue in this particular way, then you will be able to have the whole context and the whole thread line in space. So it is all about being able to provide context. And I'll give a good example. I work for the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. We have risks that are around safety. So if you came to Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, you must be able to demonstrate the risks in terms of what we do. For example, if you're able to show a risk around interception of radio signals between controllers and pilots, then that becomes relevant to organization. If you take the same safety risk to Kenya Commercial Bank, it will not make sense to them. Why? Because context matters. And this is where sound technically, but then we are not being able to understand the context of the organization and map it to the business loss. So that's what you need to be able to do, because anybody, it doesn't matter which country you are, everybody in the world understands loss of money. Everybody in the world understands loss of service. Everybody in the world understands loss of revenue. You must be able to regurgitate around those three aspects. I think I've answered your question, Collins, haven't I?
It's Meshach. Okay, sorry. It's just
It's Meshach.
yeah. So there
Okay.
is this issue whereby I think it's something that is so common in all over the world, whereby they usually believe that the client is the boss. So whatever the client is coming up with, you have to go with that. Now, sometimes you usually have a challenge whereby you face some, like, how they want you to implement something does not really align with it has got so many risks and they cannot compromise on maybe agreeing on what you are like trying to project in that context. I don't know if you have ever come across such an incident, or maybe you can share an insight on how you actually handle it.
Sorry, come again. I don't think I've understood the question clearly.
Okay, what I mean,
Yes.
I know in one way or the other, you've come across this like it's like a buzzword whereby people say that the boss is always right, like the client is the boss,
Yes.
and the client is always right. Now,
Yes.
in so many cases, you usually find out that the client is demanding on something that is actually not aligning with maybe with your security features and the way you like you're trying to explain to the client what the way they are explaining and the way you would really like it to be is not aligning at the same time in that context. Now, I don't know if you've ever come across such a scenario, and maybe you can share how you would handle it on yours.
Got it. So that's a very good question. And I absolutely, when the boss is always right or when the customer is always right. One of the things to set the ball rolling, the thing you need before even you get into whether an application or whether a service is secure or insecure, is to be able to understand what are the goals and objectives of that particular client. What do they want to achieve? Why? Because cybersecurity is a facilitative service. Okay. Now, I'll give you a very pedestrian kind of example. If the president wants to go to Mukuru kwa Jenga, he will just tell his people that I want to go to Mukuru kwa Jenga. It is up to the security personnel to make the adequate provisions to make sure that he's safe when he's in an unsafe environment. So likewise, in the business context, from a customer perspective, once you understand the customer's needs or the customer's goals, your work from a security perspective is to facilitate such that the customer's needs are met. I'll give you a very good example. Every year, all of us are expected to file tax returns, okay, with the Kenya Revenue Authority. Whether you're employed or you're not employed, it is a statutory obligation that you need to do. Now, we all as customers of Kenya Revenue Authority, I know that might not be the best example because we don't like taxes, but all of us are customers of Kenya Revenue Authority. We are obligated. We want to file our tax returns. That is our requirement. So you have 40 million plus Kenyans who want to file their tax returns. It is up to Kenya Revenue Authority to find out how all of us can be able to do that. Okay, that is the objective. So you look at an issue from the customer's perspective, and then now you design a secure architecture application to be able to meet the customer's needs. That's number one. Now, the other aspect of the boss is always right. I would not advise that you have a physical confrontation or a verbal confrontation with your particular boss. But what you need to do is to document your security concerns and channel them with the risks, okay? And if something is that you feel that this would be a higher risk than what your immediate boss is brushing aside, that can also be escalated even up to the level of the board. But the important thing is to document what your recommendations and findings are, and they should be factual. Okay, so document such that even if the boss or the supervisor makes a wrong decision, you had already done your part in terms of being able to advise. And what happens is, if then they go ahead and make that wrong decision, ultimately it is not you who carries the cross. It is your boss. It is your supervisor who carries that particular burden. But do your part in terms of being able to document the risks, demonstrate the severity of that particular risk, and demonstrate how that can lead to loss of business value, service, or reputation. Thank you.
Thank
Wow.
you. Thank you.
We still have quite a number of people. Okay, Emilio, you have the floor. Ogega.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So you mentioned something about demonstrating our value.
Yes.
And I have a question related to that.
Yes.
So I'm a final year in KCA University, and for the past like 2 months, I've been developing a solution that is meant to help in protection of infrastructure in Kenya. But I've really found it hard for me to find an avenue for to bring the solution onto light and get a mentor to guide me into making it be implemented.
Yes.
So I was asking, in what way are we supposed to probably find mentors and avenues for us to put across our solutions and startups so that they can be implemented. Given that also that the government has been so critical on cybersecurity and implementing since 2022 when it launched their national cybersecurity strategy. But I haven't found an avenue for me to bring out the solution so that it can probably maybe be brought to light and implemented um, uh, in infrastructures and such kind of things. Yeah.
Good. Top of my mind, two things you can do, and these are things you can do immediately. Number one is join a professional association like ISACA, and make sure that you attend their networking or their social engagements or events. Why? Because in those particular workshops, you will meet all of these people that you want to meet, including myself. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do. Make sure that you're part of a group, of a professional association like ISACA, and I think ISACA is a very good one. Number two, the Communications Authority of Kenya are the ones who are charged with the responsibility nationally of ensuring cybersecurity of the entire Kenyan ecosphere. So these are people you can engage with, write an email. I know they have several advocacy programs. They have several outreach programs for the youth that would be able then to help you showcase that which you have, your product, your solution, or whatever it is that you have. I can be able to help you to bridge you between, to create a bridge between you and probably relevant people at the Communications Authority. So you can engage with me even after this session. I'll be more than glad to point you, to provide further information that will help you in the kind of solution that you want. But those are the two things off the top of my mind that I feel that you can be able to do. And obviously, network widely. Your network is your network. So kindly, let's move on to Maxwell Buire. You have the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I didn't realize my hand was still raised up, but the question was similar to Emilio, which you have answered.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Mark Wamotito, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
All right. My question would be,
Mark, your volume is very low. I don't know if it's just on my end.
can you hear me now? Hello?
We can hear you, but you're very faint. Kindly raise your volume.
Okay.
Great, that's better.
So there was this speaker known as Tanya Janka. She was on this podcast called Darknet Diaries, and she was speaking about on the lines of frontline response and communication between teams and incident handling stories. So my question would be, is there such thing as incident readiness? That would be the first question. Second question would be, how do you handle lack of cross-team communication? Because that happens, especially if you're working in an organization with various departments. So you say you have your IT support team, you have your help desk, you have your devs, you have your cybersecurity team, and then you have the others. Okay, I call them executors, accountants, and whatnot. So cross-team communication is an issue. So how do you solve that? And then I think for the final question, I would ask, okay, not final per se, but I would ask, can you be security compliant and still be breached? Because I have read articles where that happens. And so compliance versus real security. How do you go about that? Because you can be compliant sometimes and you can still be breached. And sometimes you can, I don't want to call it unethical, you can lack to meet compliances and solve an issue at that particular point. I don't know if it makes sense. So how would you, those are my questions.
Okay, great. I might not remember all of them, but I'll try and answer them in whichever order. So you
Okay.
asked something about incident readiness. Yes, there is something in cybersecurity called incident readiness, and actually the outcome of incident readiness is something called an incident response plan. Okay, I have developed that in the course of my career, and basically what you do, incident response plans are as a result of cyber risk assessments. Okay, so when you're doing a cyber risk assessment, basically what you're doing is you're looking at what are your potential risks, vulnerabilities, threats that could crystallize within your organization or within your business. And then you then move on to the incident response plan, where you say, for this type of incident, priority 1, catastrophic, this is the procedure or the plan of how we are going to address it. Okay? So that's why I said that everything has to be looked at in terms of the total thread. You cannot look at one thing in isolation. You must look at something in totality. So you must be able to say, these are my top 5 concerns. And those start with the business goals. Okay? Then from the business, your major risks. Okay? And you say, these are my top 5 major risks. Top 5 major risks, you have your controls. This is what I have done to be able to reduce the risk. And then in the unlikely event that the risk occurs, you're hit by ransomware, this is how we respond. In 2020, and we kick response plan. And because our very elaborate one had categorization of the risk. Number 2, it had the people who are responsible, and it had the very critical things. Number 1, how do we threat? Number 2, investigate where the source of the threat was coming from. And number 4, how do we restore our services? And we were able, in our incident plan, able to do those 3 things at the same time, currently. And recovered 98% of our applications. Okay, so your incident that there's an incident. Who is responsible for communicating? Who is responsible for containment? Who is responsible for investigation? Who is responsible resumption, either through or through other? All of that as incident readiness, meaning in case you have a plan. In attack, you have a plan on how to respond to that particular incident. And incidences then are summarized into something in cybersecurity we call playbooks. You have a playbook for ransom, you have a playbook advanced persistent threats, you have for distributed denial, which has been on the rise, especially in government circles. You know, we've faced a lot of DDoS attacks. So having actually say that you're incident ready. It's just the same way like you have a spare wheel in a car, so that in the unlikely event where you have problem with one of your incident ready, you can be able to take the tire and continue with the journey. Okay, unlike somebody who is not incident ready. That answers the first part on incident readiness. Then you talk
Yes.
of correct, the issue of can you be compliant? Yes. Now, purpose of compliance objectives. Compliance that you are embedding best practices in your organization. These best practices are not 100% guarantee that you will not suffer from a cyber or an incident that is catastrophic, but they are to a large extent read because it is all about risk. Okay, so compliance is a demonstration that you have taken the basic sure there is continuity of service. Okay, but above compliance, what you need and two, your threat intelligence, which is all about being able to go out yourself, out the unknown. So those are things that must be done proactively. The reason why penetration tests are conducted, penetration tests, what you're not looking at, what the compliance has not brought out, okay? Because compliances tend to, it's like ticking check boxes. We've done this, we've done this, we've done this, we've done this. Sour. Okay, so you've done all those things. But your risks in the environment are evolving. And I'll give you an example. Maybe tomorrow you introduce a new, that software will, so a risk assessment, you have engaged a new third party comes with a risk. So these are things that need to be done continuously so that you can give your assurance that we will be able to guarantee you 99.9% service availability. And with service availability, you'll be able to collect your revenue and your reputation remains intact. I forgot the second part of your question. I think I've answered two. I get the third one.
The third one was how do you handle, especially between security and developers? If you're working for a company that has security team and developers, so how do you handle the working togetherness? Because that becomes an issue in most cases.
Excellent. The first thing that is that you need to bring your entire team together and make sure that everyone within the team understands the goal. Okay? Now, okay. I'll give a very pedestrian example, but if, for example, there is a wedding, we are having a wedding, okay? Our wedding has got these leaders, but you will find for any particular wedding that is well organized will all have. Now, this organizer is a person who will reach out to the people doing sound, the people doing cake, the caterers, the different service providers, okay? These different service providers, for you to be successful, each one to play their role. Why? Because you're all working towards this.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody is assisting me answer the question. Thank you. So, since you're all working towards the same goal, your objective one must show where the shared value. So you say, okay, we are all working, is our business goal. This is our objective. Then let everyone clearly understand their individual role. Okay, so where everybody is their role, And everybody understands that when I play my role, this is how it feeds into this other person's role. Must be a common of how whatever you do affects the other person. And then the third thing is team responsibility. A lot of people usually want to engage in this blame game. And I've worked in an institution that was like that, where you had the systems administrator saying, no, it is the developer saying, no, it is the networking guys. It's because you are not synchronizing your efforts towards a common goal. So there has to be collaborative effort and help people understand that whatever role I play is also the bigger goal or objective that all of us as a team need to. And then last but to appreciate what every person, the contribution that every person is making. So some of these some of the practical examples having like common where all of the team over tea and mandazi or other snacks, and you discuss these issues as a team. It helps in building that kind of group synergy, appreciating what each and every person does in terms of their respective role, and then understanding that we have a shared responsibility and a shared goal, and celebrating the achievement. So you say, look, guys, if we are able to do this team and our goal is met, then we will all collaborate, we will all share in celebrate together. So that's my thing. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yeah, you have.
Okay.
And thank you. I want to add one last question, if you will allow me, just one. It's very important.
Kindly, Mark, let us give others a chance, because I can see the questions are very many. I can see there is a say. Okay, I don't know. Is that Wayhive?
Yes, that is Wayhive.
Wayhive.
Yeah, if I may, let's have say as the last question for the night, and then we can provide a method to contact you.
Okay.
If needed.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bewes, for that wonderful presentation. Actually, my question is just based entirely on what you said. If someone wants to contact you about the projects that they can work on, and also if you are in a position to take mentees, that is all I wanted to find out.
Yes, thank you. I do have a virtual cybersecurity mentorship group that that I run together with some friends of mine, and if you but limit you from being able to engage me directly on WhatsApp through
Hello, Bewes, you're breaking. I don't know if it's just on my end.
Oh,
actually,
sorry.
And
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Great. Just to be able to build up on what Sei was asking, when it comes to a specific projects must always be driven by needs or goals. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what do you want to achieve in terms of what solution do you want to provide, and what is the impact? A good example, you might want to deal with the risk of identity. Maybe you want to deal with the gap of deep fakes. And so you want to do a project around having an identification system that authoritatively tells you that this is the person. Okay? So Projects must be based on very specific objectives, very specific goals in terms of what you want to solve. Number two, projects are also based on gaps or needs that are there in the society. So it's good for if you have identified a gap or a need or a place where there is a problem in a certain cybersecurity, a cybersecurity problem in a certain organizational in space or something like that. For example, I can give a very good example. There is a very, very huge gap on end user awareness to cyber risks. I mean, you go to the market and you'll even find even people sharing PIN numbers, M-Pesa PIN numbers, sharing even very confidential information. That is a gap. That is a need. You can actually do a project on that. And you say, I'm going to do mass education on this particular risk. So that probably will be able to give you some trajectory around being able to handle projects. So don't think of projects as being very large things, but think of projects as being problem solvers. Hope, over to you. I think you said that was the last question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for making this an interactive session, and even asking very relevant and questions that show you really followed through on what the discussion is about. Thank you, Mr. Bewes, for taking us through this particular topic. I think this is very good as a foundation for week one for the students and very relevant. People usually ask, where do I start? And I think we've been given a very good view on where to start and how to build on that. So what I'd request is the slides so that I can share with the students later on. Apart from that, in case anyone wants to reach Bewes, we can find a way, either email or a way that he's comfortable with, that you can reach him and further the discussion. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for such a lovely session. Yeah.
Yes, Hope, thank you very much for also giving me the opportunity to be able to engage with all of you. And I sincerely appreciate all of you for this engage further. I'm sure I will be able to share my content open, reach out to all of you. And I wish you in your cybersecurity. Let's also please let us participate in the upcoming ISACA workshops, the webinars that are coming up. There's a AI conference that is coming up. I will share the presentation with Hope as well. So if you're able then to attend some of those webinars, workshops, and if you probably have a specific need or requirement, I'll be more than glad to engage with you and provide you more information that will help you in your growth journey. Remember that this is a growth journey. It is very personal and it all depends on you. So whether you choose to take action or not take action, really all journey, but my hope is that you will all take action and start working towards growing your career, and at the end of the day, providing cybersecurity as a service in Kenya. Very much. Over to you, Hope.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So nothing more to add. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll share the slides and have a lovely night. See you next Thursday. Oh, something else, maybe I forgot to say, the recording is always available by next week on YouTube. So feel free to just check on Cybersecurity. Okay, thank you, everyone. Good night.